right, we're rolling. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Build Time. Stefan, Nara, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Great,
All right,
Good.
good. Yeah, so for
amazing.
this episode, we've got building React components from Headless CMS Markdown, and Stefan's going to present this one for us. So Stefan, please take it away.
Yeah, React components from Headless CMS Markdown. So, with Cosmic, we're able to create some articles and create these objects. And when building our kind of data model and creating these meta fields, it's going to be common to use Markdown for our text editor and our main content that we want to use. Markdown's great. It's easy to use, it's quick to use, and yeah, love Markdown. So, but we got to figure out a way to take this Markdown and within our applications, I suppose, parse it, because Markdown isn't just as simple as parsing Markdown directly to HTML. It kind of does this thing where you get Markdown, and then essentially from there you've got to parse it to a syntax tree. And I'm not going to go into abstract syntax trees, but they're a lot more complex than this diagram here. But we got to take that Markdown and then parse that to an HTML syntax tree, and from there um, take that and render it to React components. And that's essentially what the React Markdown plugin does. And this is a really useful plugin within the unified JS ecosystem, the Remark.js, the Rehype.js system. And it basically, you just get this really easy to use component. It's safe by default, so you don't have to use dangerously set inner HTML. You can pass in your own components. So yeah, let's get to it and let's talk about it. So you can simply install it with npm install React Markdown. And from there, let's just take a look at, let's open up a development server here. And just kind of take a look at, if we were to just import directly our Markdown content. So of course, we're passing data through. We're calling a function with the Cosmic NPM module. Cosmic makes it super easy to do this just by getting all the posts. And on our dynamic article page here in pages and then slug JSX, we are taking getting that post with get static props, get static paths, and passing the data into our page component here. And then of course we've got another component, which is our post body. Let me just visualize that. And I'll just use the live site here. So yeah, we've got, this is all our post body. So we've got all this Markdown, and we can just make it look rather beautiful with this package and a little bit of styling. So
Before you jump
yeah,
into that, can we
sure.
see, so just to kind of explain what this is our Next.js developer portfolio template, which uses Markdown for the body of the content. And if you go into the dashboard stuff, and can you show like side-by-side
Sure.
comparison of like what the Markdown and what the like end result looks like
Absolutely.
here? Because I think that's super helpful to kind of see like,
Absolutely.
what the Markdown coding syntax looks like, and how it kind of
Yeah,
gets transformed.
of course. Yeah. So yeah, essentially, let's just kind of break it down here. Why don't we go over to this specific article, getting started with this template, and you'll see kind of exactly, we'll go down the line. So, um, we're taking it in and we're putting in our title here, rendering it here. We've got our image, of course, here, and then we're using an excerpt for our lists, and then here's our Markdown. And essentially we can do really awesome things with Markdown. Of course, 2 hashes is an H2, and then 3 is an H3, and then all the text is simply in there as far as, just plain paragraph text. But of course, you start using this bracket syntax, and you see we've got Cosmic here, and whatever link you want to put into that syntax will essentially pop us into that link here, and then bam.
And you
So
see,
yeah,
so like this is sort of hard to read because the text input is very small. But if you were to like
Here, let
make
me
it bigger,
that
yeah,
bigger. Yeah.
and obviously like your screen, you're cutting it in half, and so it's a little bit more
Yeah, of
tricky to see
course.
it.
I want to give them a, yeah.
But yeah, so basically like the code for Markdown, it's quite familiar to developers, maybe not so much for content creators, but it kind of gives you like really good rails, right? So that you're not putting a bunch of like weird HTML into a WYSIWYG editor. It kind of keeps
Yeah,
it very true to form. And then you click preview here, you can see the preview, right, of like what that will end up looking
absolutely.
like. So on the Cosmic dashboard, this kind of does it on the client side. I think it uses Showdown or something to like convert it client side. But what you've done is you've actually made it so that it'll compile on build time, right? As far as like
Yeah,
the package that you're using here in this portfolio template,
yeah,
it's using a different type of conversion method. And the cool thing I noticed here, and you're going to get to this, is kind of the
yeah,
customization you can do there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who's just kind of getting into Markdown, I heavily recommend just Google Markdown cheat sheet, and you can find just this beautiful guide on getting started with Markdown. But like Tony said, you're just taking away a lot of that need to write any kind of HTML, any brackets or anything, and it's really easy to write and it's quick. It's almost like not even having to, I mean, you put two hashes for an H2 and you just start typing text and you make items into lists like this, and it's super intuitive. So yeah, essentially, yeah, let's take a look through the React Markdown package, and let's just, I'm going to touch real quick on, if we were to be looking at some of these posts before parsing the Markdown, I mean, yeah, you could put Markdown directly into your yeah, but you don't want this. You gotta, yeah, with the diagram, you parse it into a syntax tree, and that's how kind of HTML is able to read the Markdown. But yeah, so here we enter the React Markdown package, and it's rather,
Could you provide
yeah,
for whom it could be more efficient using these tools? I mean, for content creators or just developers who try to quick introducing Markdown into the page.
yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really big use case for it. Like, it's a quick method, it's an easy method, and I think developers who are already working in React, it's one of those React packages that you can get up and going, and all you have to do is pass the Markdown data into it, and you essentially have a component to work with. Um,
Yeah, thanks.
and yeah, does that kind of answer your question? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so essentially you import the component from the package, and you just simply pass the content into the component as a child, and that's basically yeah, that's it's just literally as easy as that. And of course, if we didn't have this styling here, it's not going to look as pretty, but you see that it's literally parsed all of this into proper HTML, proper H2, P tags, and of course, let's go in. You got like our A tag here, and yeah, it's easy to get going with it. You can start adding styles. Maybe we can get into that toward the end here, because I think the emphasis here on this React Markdown is the ability to pass your own components through them. And today, in this example, we're using Next.js, and I think a large barrier with some of this content is you might have a ton of images in your content body. And I mean, I think if you've ever used Next.js, it's a very great developer experience to use that image component, and you kind of get all that out of the box stuff. You get a lot of attributes set for you, and it's really easy to use. So to not be able to use that with Markdown is it's disappointing. So luckily with this package, you could start using that. But yeah, so what we can essentially do is we can now pass this components prop into React Markdown and create a components object here. So what we're doing here is essentially we're saying whatever your component is, that's the Markdown equivalent, you set that first. And then, like, let's say it's an H2, and then you just set this to access all of the, I guess,
You
the
predefine
elements
the
of your
styles,
H2.
what it look like, yeah.
Yeah.
For
With
So
elements.
if you
what?
wanted H2 to be like a custom
Oh,
style or something, or a font
absolutely.
or
Yeah,
a color,
Yep.
you can do some
Yeah.
funky stuff there. Not to say that, like,
Absolutely.
you know, CSS wouldn't be a better option, you
Yeah.
know, but this is interesting, right? You can do a lot of
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. You actually, honestly, I think especially with something like Tailwind, when you're just kind of writing on the fly, we're using Tailwind CSS with this project, but you know, separately we do have a Markdown styles module CSS file, and we're passing these through. But you could totally go in and just, yeah, you could write in
Oh, I see. And then you
text
can
to
use
Excel.
Tailwind there.
So
That's
now
pretty cool.
now you're essentially just writing you're writing JSX for your
now it
components,
makes
and
sense.
I'm not
I mean,
sure
you
if it's
can just
overriding.
provide your design
Oops,
system elements, I mean, that you want to see, and then just use Markdown.
Yeah.
Your page creating so
Are
fast.
you on? I think you're on the live version.
Yeah, I'm previewing the live version. So let me just boy, change this real quick. And I want to say, I think I actually don't ask, okay. There we go. Okay. So yeah, now you can see that you can just go through and you can start styling all of your components this way if you want to as well. And there you go. You got all this kind of, you can basically just, if you wanted to, you could really just build. I mean, I might even convert that here, because I think, you know, this whole, where am I importing you from? Markdown styles. I think it's even in here. It's just, I mean, it's even a little over engineered, but you don't really need this in a lot of sense if you're using this component, because I mean, why not just go through and, you know, do your H2 and then go and make your, I mean, let's just pop your p text in there. Of course,
All right, look out,
yeah.
CSS developers. Shots fired.
Yep.
JavaScript versus CSS. I think JavaScript might be winning this round.
Yep. I know. But yeah, you can really, yeah, so there you go. So that's kind of the premise of this, right? And if we're moving into something like the image component, now we can take that image element that we're getting in Markdown, and we have the parameter, which we're getting all the accessing all the children and all the properties of the parameter. And now we can take our next image and basically just transform this image to a next image. And of course, like, why do we want that? Well, we get lazy loading, and we get the ability to kind of do some more dynamic things to it and save a lot of resources. I mean, to just
Can you show us that image?
Yeah.
Can you scroll down on the page?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see the image there.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah, the before and
so
after.
how about,
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Watch this. So let's take this away, right? So now we're going to use the native HTML image. Nothing's set in here. And essentially, I mean, let's just even go into, oops. Yeah, let's just even go into our network tab and just look at all the images we load in when we refresh this. Yep. So look at, we've literally loaded, I think we've got 5 images on this, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 images in the body, and we've had to load all of these in. And now let's go into our component. Let's pop in next image here. And it's gonna basically, it's gonna recognize all of these HTML, all these nodes in the DOM, and it's going to parse it into a next image. And let's hit it, and now let's refresh. And as you can see, look at that. All we got was some of our basic data in our document component and next, and we've got like this avatar and the yeah, exactly. We got above the full stuff. But here, watch this. So as we scroll down here, check out the network tab. Bam, got one image loaded, another one. We're lazy loading these, and the let alone the
Another one.
file.
Another
Exactly.
one.
Another one. Let alone the file sizes are vastly smaller.
DJ Khaled style.
DJ
Image
Khaled,
loading.
the best. Yeah, so if we just load these, and you can see, I think these, get out of here. These first four are all optimized by Next.js, and the file sizes are just ridiculously lower. And all we had to do, we didn't have to do anything in Cosmic or MJX. We literally just had to go in here and set that quality to 50, and the responsive will take care of our viewport width and everything. So I think that is one big use case for this package. And while I'm sure, I think there's different ways to do it out here. Like I said, the developer experience for React Markdown package is just like, I mean, it's just as simple as writing a new component. So yeah, it's one great way to parse your Markdown and just give it superpowers. Just make it do what you want. I think the other component we're using here is just simply taking some of our links, and oh gosh, which one is it?
I
That's
guess
all
you can
Lauren.
customize all elements that you want and just create Markdown by elements. And as
Yeah,
quickly as you can have the same view in every page without
yeah,
the HTML.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like if you think about it, it makes it even for just not even like articles and just your main pages, going in and using this component throughout your entire application. And if you're getting dynamic content from a headless CMS, then it'll make it really easy to do that. But yeah, I mean, you really, the sky's the limit with everything, and making these, kind of giving these some of the no opener, no refer, and target blank, and making them the way you want. And yeah, I mean, it's a superpower. You go and you can style all these whichever way you want. So
Really cool.
yeah, you
And then
guys, yeah,
this has now been updated on the
yeah,
Cosmic developer portfolio template, right?
yeah,
So
we're live
viewers and
here.
listeners can go and go to cosmicjs.com, go to our templates marketplace. There'll be show notes that they'll be able to follow the links to the template to install it. But I think we just recently did this like a few days ago, right? Where we merged it,
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's
updates to
brand
use
new.
this new package.
Yep. Yeah, so yeah, it's live, you guys. Check it out. If you're already using this template, then yeah, I highly suggest checking it out and just incorporating the package into your project. But
Yeah.
yeah, you guys got any questions?
No, I think that covers it. Great work. I think it's a
Awesome.
really cool way to use Markdown and use React and really sort of creating all the optimizations that you would you normally have to do, like maybe parsing out some of these elements manually, but now you can just sort of create one sort of middleware to like process all
Yeah.
of the elements, which is really
Yeah.
nice, and you have a lot of control over that now. So that's
And
great.
yeah, and I think the original way that we were doing it was, I think we had a sort of helper function, and we were just passing. It was kind of like we took out the middleman, because we were passing the markdown through to a separate, or I guess we were probably exporting a helper function, and then we were passing it through the function, and then from there just passing it in. But this kind of takes away the middleman, because wherever you're pulling in your data, you can just put it in the data flow of getting that markdown through to it, and passing just the content, or passing a certain meta field from Cosmic into your React Markdown component wherever you're using it. So yeah, it's a great package. It's fun to use, and maybe a future episode we can get into code blocks, because I know for a lot of developers, it's fun to use like code block examples, and there's actually a really good package that you can integrate another React. It's a React syntax highlighter, and it works very well
Yeah.
with React Markdown. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Prism is another one, right? Like that's a
this
very
package,
common
it uses Prism.
uses
Yeah,
Prism.
actually,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So that's another really useful thing, I think, for especially developers doing technical writing,
Yeah,
having
point.
customizability over those syntax theming and all of that. So that's cool. Yeah, that would be a cool follow-up
Absolutely.
episode to do. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think
Pretty
that's a wrap on
close
this
to
one.
now.
Unless
Yeah.
Nara, you've got anything else to add to this one?
No, I'm just amazed how it could be easy creating new pages by scratch. Pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool.
Stefan, great work on this. Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.